Hi my loves, how are you all doing? If you're new to my video, my name's Andrea. I'm a nutritional therapist and I love to help women in menopause. I'm in menopause myself. Help them to have more confidence, reconnect with their bodies, find out what's troubling with their symptoms so much, so they can go on to create a happy and healthy life. And in my video today, I'm chatting to you about your periods and what happens to them during perimenopause. So if you want to know more about that, then hang around. I'm going to be chatting about that tonight. And if you're new to my videos, you come in on and say hello if you're watching, and if you're watching the replay, say hello in the replay as well. Put in the comments where you've watched, where you live in. I'd love to find out where you're watching me in the world, anywhere in the world at all. So yeah, let's dive in. So do you know how your periods work to start off with? Because I didn't know how my periods worked, when I was higher in estrogen, when I was lower in progesterone. So just to quickly run through what happens in your body during your periods. So your brain communicates with your body. So you have what's called follicle stimulating hormone, and that gets released to tell your ovaries to start preparing the follicle. So it prepares the follicle, prepares the egg in the first 2 weeks of your cycle. So that's FSH, it's follicle stimulating hormone. And then the second phase, this is your ovulation phase, is when luteinizing hormone comes in, your LH. And so that prepares the ovulation, and then you ovulate, and then you have a pop-up shop, what I call it, and then you have your progesterone. So then the progesterone is in the second half of your cycle. So all this goes to plan, and you don't get pregnant, then you have your period, and then you have the peak of the hormones, the estrogen and progesterone peak together, and then it just drops off, and then you have your period. So all this should happen automatic, it should just go every month, around about the same time every month. You should just have your period and have no erratic symptoms, no lots of PMS, lots of bloating, heavy feelings in your breast, have your periods, painful periods. All these things are signs that there's an imbalance going on in your body. And I know all about that painful periods because I had them myself when I was younger. And I went on the birth control pill, which isn't the best thing to do. There are other things that you can do naturally to help with the imbalance that's going on in your body, to stop all these scatty periods that you could be having. And I speak to a lot of women now, and they'll lose the periods as well, which is really sad. And it can be prevented just by looking at a few things. And I always look at stress as a massive one to really affect your periods, a big time. Also, what you're eating, how you're living your life, is a really big player as well with your periods. And it's the sugar intake and the processed foods. They can create havoc with your periods, which isn't good at all. So I just want to explain now you know a little bit about how your periods work and what different hormones are at play at different stages of the month. Now what's happening in perimenopause, and this can start anytime over the age of 35, is your hormones are declining, obviously, they're getting lower and lower. And if you have huge amounts of stress, or depending on how you've lived your life in your 20s and your 30s, like if you're on the birth control pill like myself, then it can affect how you go through perimenopause, and it can affect your symptoms, and it can affect your periods as well. If they're erratic, or if you have painful periods, they will get less and less as you go through perimenopause. And the first stage, between 35 to 45, you might not notice many differences at all. You probably still be having regular periods like you had before. If you're not having them, if you're having lots of problems, then get in touch. I'd like to give you a helping hand there to find out why you're struggling so much with your periods, because you really shouldn't. If you want to get in touch with me or contact me, then I'd love to help you out there. So back to the cycle. So the second phase is from ages 45 to when you hit menopause. So that can be any time over the age of 50. So what happens there is your brain is releasing the follicle stimulating hormone. So it's communicating with your ovaries and saying, okay, ovaries, it's time to prepare the follicle. And then your ovaries might just be going, nah, I don't want to work. you know, and it's like it's got headphones on, and I'm just trying to paint a picture here of what it could be doing. Not your ovaries aren't going to put headphones on, but you know, it's like muffled sound coming from your brain to your ovary. It's like muffled. It's not paying attention. So your ovaries just like playing up. They just don't wanna wake up and work, and so you don't ovulate every month then. So you might not ovulate every month in the second phase, and you might start missing a month or missing a couple of months. And the FSH signal is going to keep getting released from your brain, going, follicle stimulating hormones going, come on ovaries, we need to get the follicle ready, and the ovaries are not paying attention, they're not working. So your cycle just goes on, and then you can have a period without ovulating. So then you can see that your progesterone levels can go a lot lower because you have to ovulate to produce progesterone. So this is how the progesterone can fall off a lot lower than estrogen does during perimenopause, and it can create the scatty symptoms, you know, the mood swings, more of the PMS, foggy brain thinking, you know, you got cravings more, blood sugar up and downs, and your body's under a little bit of stress because of this. What's happening? It's like it's just not going on as normal like before, because your eggs are running out. You're not got as many eggs as before, so you're not ovulating. So you can have a double ovulation. Have you ever heard of a woman over 50 having twins, or up, you know, about 45 upwards having twins? Because it can happen, because you're not ovulating every month, so you could have a double ovulation. So you have to be careful there. You know, don't think, oh, I'm skipping some periods and I'm not going to get pregnant. You have to pay attention here. It could still happen, even though you're not ovulating every month. So then what happens is the gap between your periods gets wider and wider and wider. So you might miss like 4 months and then not have a period, which has happened to me. I went 1 year. I only had 2 periods in 1 year, and so you have to go a full 12 months before you can say you're postmenopause. So if you've had 1 period in 1 year, you have to go a full year for the next year. See if it goes like next year, 12 months, no period. Then you can say, okay, I'm in menopause now, I've not got a period for a full year. So yes, that's how it works. That's how your body's winding down. The hormones are getting reduced down. And things do settle down in menopause. It's a lot easier in menopause, postmenopause. Perimenopause is the hardest bit. The hardest phase because your hormones are up and down and all over the place. You don't know where you are with your periods. But there's so much you can do with that, and I help women with that all the time. And I've got my new program coming up, and starts on the 5th of July, and I'm going to be running it for 6 months. And it's a very, very thorough program, and it goes through all my 5 steps. I'm going to go in depth about reconnecting with yourself. We're doing lots of mindset stuff. Journaling. I'm going to be doing a couple of weeks on that, maybe nearly a month on that. Then we're going to go on talk about gut health. We're talking about toxins, talking about your thyroid and all the 4 hormones that can go haywire during this phase and can create a lot of symptoms. What herbs that I love to use, what supplements I love to use, talking about sleep, how you can reduce your stress levels, how you can prepare your foods. I'm going to be talking about food prep. So it's a really, really in-depth program that I'm running. I've never done this before. I've been thinking about it over the last month or so, how to put this together to help more women to really be there for 6 months, because you can't really see many results in just a couple of weeks. In 6 weeks, 12 weeks. 12 weeks you can, because it's like a reset. 3 months, it's usually when your hormones can reset over a period of about 3 months. But I find that a lot of women in perimenopause and menopause, they've got a lot more deep-seated issues, a lot more symptoms. Like myself, I've been healing my symptoms for over 2 years now. And I'm just starting to see a lot of healing happen for me. I started having more energy. I'm feeling much better. So this is why I wanted to do more of an in-depth help for you if you've got lots of deep-seated issues, because when you get to this phase of life in your 40s, something can be happening in your body that you've not even been aware of for like 20, 30 years, like it did for me. My health was deteriorating slowly over that period of time. So you need this like one-to-one with me, where it's going to be in a private Facebook group, and you get access to all my guides, all my downloads and everything. It's going to be meal plans and everything in there, accessed for you during this program. And I will be putting the link. There's a link on my page, and I will be putting a link below this video as well for you if you want to join. It's going to be an absolutely amazing transformational experience that I'm putting together for you to really go deep into all these different areas of your life, to get my support with that I've done for myself over the last 10 years. So yeah, a little bit more about your periods then. I didn't mention before about them being scatty, them being, spread out even more before you hit postmenopause. And then they can be a bit, you could get some spotting in between. You might have 1 month where it's light and not much at all. You might have like 3 or 4 days and that's it, your period's over. And then you might have some months where they're really heavy. So, oh, where's this come from? And it can go on for like 6 days, heaviness, and then you might miss a month, and then the next month, couple of months, you might have a lighter period. You might have some spotting in between as well. So that's quite normal. And you might feel like, oh, I feel like I'm going to get my period, but it doesn't come. So you have to really track this. What I would recommend is if you keep a journal and write down what's happening to your periods, how you're feeling, where you are with your stress levels. If you've missed a period, I think, okay, or if you're having the heavy bleeding, is it because you're really, really stressed out, or is it just because you're just having a one-off bleed? Because you can have that heavy bleed and then just a normal bleed the next month or a couple of months after that. So you have to keep a check of it. Then this is just all, absolutely, it's just normal and natural, nothing to worry about. I was speaking to a woman the other day and she was really worried, the period had disappeared. But I said, no, this is, and she was 48, so this is fine. It's a normal time, is this, normal thing to happen in your body. Only thing I would say to be really worried about is if you're having extreme bleeding that's lasting for like 2 or 3 weeks. It's good. I speak to some women and they're still having a period and it's lasting for 3 weeks, and this is not good at all. Then I would suggest to get a scan with your doctor. It might be a fibroid, it might be something else, might be some cysts. Just get it checked out, and then, I can help you out with the other bit, because the doctors are fully trained, unfortunately. They don't get trained in how to cope with the nutritional side of things to help with the heavy bleeding, because that can put you at risk of iron deficiency and anemia then, and if it gets to extreme cases, having to have a blood transfusion, which you don't want to happen. There is so much you can do to help with the heavy bleeding. It could be an imbalance with your gut flora. It could be a liver stagnation. That's putting your estrogen high, and it could be creating the heavy bleeding. It can be stress as well. Extreme amounts of stress can bring on the heavy bleeding to last a long time as well during this phase. Or for any woman really, stress is the number one thing that can really affect your periods and everything, your health. It just snowballs over a number of years. So I hope that's helped you out with what happens to your periods. If you've got any questions at all, please put in the comments and I'll come back and check them and answer them for you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in another video. So take care. Send you lots of love. See ya.